Alrighty, there's a ton of chainsaw chain sharpening videos. I'm going to do mine, okay? Now, I've been filing for a little bit of time. I used to grind with the Harbor Freight grinder, Chicago Electric. It did well. What I don't like is I don't like taking the chain off every time. I think it's important to be able to hand file rather than grind your chains. And the reason why is if you are in a situation where you're out in the woods and you chip or hit metal, you know, hit a rock, hit metal or something, you need to be able to file your chain. People literally go and buy a chain after they dull one. That is a waste of money. You have to learn how to file if you're going to be cutting all the time. If you've got one job, maybe you don't need to learn the skill. All right, the number one tip, besides doing it more, okay, doing it more is important. Paying attention to what you're doing, getting the gullet. There's a lot of videos on YouTube, everyone. Everyone's seen a lot. I've seen a lot of weird stuff, too. I've seen a lot of weird stuff. Number one tip, helpful tip, came from the Novice Lumberjack, but I believe Richard Flagg said it in his video, and Novice Lumberjack mentioned it. Everybody, I feel like, has a dominant side. I like to file this way the most, okay? I dislike filing this way. But number one tip, start filing your chain with the side that you dislike doing the most. So because I'm not as strong this way, I'm gonna file this way here, okay? Rather than the other way. And the reason why is I honestly think it has to do with fatigue, everybody. So also another thing is you don't need fancy guides or anything like that. You do not need them. But what you need is practice. You just need practice. This file has a guide on it, an angle guide. Okay, so I'm sitting somewhere around 25. I might be close to 30 on this. This one doesn't have a guide. Some teeth have a guide on them. This one doesn't. So I'm filing. Also, a sharp file, everybody. That is really important. A sharp file is very important. This chain just needed to be touched up a little bit. It wasn't crazy, but it definitely had some dulling. If you're struggling, if you're finding that you have to push too hard, something's wrong. You might have a dull file. Also, sometimes if the angle's way off on the tooth and you're trying to bite real bad, it doesn't file real well. I should have marked tooth. This chain doesn't have a gold link. I think I'll be able to find where I was. You can tell because in the gullet it's shinier when you have been there already in the session. And everyone, I file, look at this tooth. Look at that tooth. It is small. Guess what? It works just fine. It works just fine. I promise. I heard one time somebody say that you had to have every tooth the top plate be the same length. That is not true. Buckin' Billy Ray, I watched him a lot, and he does not subscribe to that. Boy, I have a weird angle on this tooth, so it's gonna get cut back a little bit. He one time made a video and said, you do not need to have them all be the same. And you know what? I don't make them the same, and they cut just fine. They cut just fine. They cut straight. They cut good. The raker's important to get right. Remember, guys, this is the way I like filing the least. Okay, I believe I've gone all the way around now. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start on this side. This is the side I feel better filing. Look how fast that was, everybody. And also, I would recommend using the right size. If you notice, I don't take the same amount of strokes every time. I quit when the tooth's sharp. Also, I like to feel. One time Wrangler Star said, sharpen and it will feel like a cat claw type tackiness, and that is absolutely true. It should, when you touch it, you should tell easily that it is sharp. It shouldn't feel like a surprise. You know, you're pushing on it, it's like, oh, that's not that sharp. If it's like that, it's not done properly, everybody. It should be tacky. It should be kind of scary, like you don't want to hit that on your finger or you're going to cut it. Notice that I turned my file. I've noticed all the guys that know what they're doing do it, and you know what? I started doing it, and it seems to work well. Tap it off. That clears the chips out of the file. This is a steel file. Notice I don't use a lot of steel stuff, but I use steel files. I like them. It's also what's locally available, not Chinese made. Oh, this tooth is bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and, oops. When you're sharpening, you're getting that tip and really the whole top plate, everybody. Did I go all the way around? I think I may have. I think I may have gone all the way around. Taking a look here. These all feel real good and sharp. That was quick. That was very, very quick. It's worth it. It's worth it not to unmount that. And it's something you can do. Now, here, check this setup. This is my vise. This is really important, is having a comfortable spot to do this. One of the things I want to develop is something that I can put on the back of my tailgate of my truck and hold the saw down. I've never used a stump vise. Do you guys like stump vices? Let me know what you think. Okay, one more thing is setting the rakers. This is how I do it. You'll notice that everybody does it different. What these do is the tooth and the raker goes in the middle, tooth and tooth. The raker comes up through the hole here. Some people will file on the gauge. What I do is I feel if the raker's sticking through. It's not sticking through, so I don't file it, okay? So I can feel that a little bit. So what I do is I just give it a couple little taps, feel it, make sure it's gone. That's good. I can feel it a little bit. Check it again. The reason why I do this is I feel like filing on the gauge, you're just going to wear out your gauge faster. I'm really frugal, everybody. That's how I do it. It's worked well for me. My chains cut well. I recently had, if you'll notice that this bar is newish looking, it's because I had another Oregon bar on here and I was having a hard time. It was cutting crooked. The chain was cutting crooked, and I thought, man, my filing's real bad, and one side must be pulling better than the other side. And anyway, when I found out that it was the bar's fault, it was not my chains, it was not my sharpening, it was the bar. I think what happened is the saw was lent out to someone. They burned up they hit a rock and they kept cutting with it. I think it literally like made the gap widen, and I believe that I've got it in the trash can here. I'll show you. Now you'll notice, some of you may notice that, hey, if you're not filing to the guide, some of your rakers might be lower. That's right. That's absolutely true. But this is the deal, everyone. There's a lot of proficient cutters out there that don't even use a gauge. This just helps me to make sure that that I am not going too far, and I'm also getting it down enough. Okay. See, I can hear it, so I just give it a little rub there. Not counting anything. I don't care that much. Now, someone might say, well, that's why your chains don't cut as well as they ought to. That might be. That might be. Ooh, that one's really tall. That almost looks like I've never even hit it. But now I've hit it. That's for sure. It's still tall. Hey, this might cut better. It's funny. I don't know how I miss them like that sometimes. This is just a 14-inch bar here, so this goes quick. I feel it. Okay, excellent. This is a safety chain, but you know what? It's okay. The saw is pretty wimpy. Good. I'm hoping I'm getting done. I want to be done, honestly. I don't mind filing chains, but I also am happy when I'm done. How about you? You happy when you're done? I'm sure happy when I'm done. Yeah, I've gotten all these now. Let me grab this bar that was... I think what happened is these expanded in the chain. I don't know what happened. It looks straight to me. When I put a chain in there, it wobbles a lot back and forth. So maybe, just maybe one way does cut a little bit better. I've never had this as an issue, everyone. But check that out. All right, so my cameraman recognized something. This does seem like it has a bow this way. Let's see if we can capture that. I don't know if we can, but it sure looks like it has a bow this way. I'm going to grab a straight edge, actually. See what happens. We're going to find out if that's what's happened. Okay, so by rights, it kind of looked like if I do this. Look at that. I don't know if we can. Let's look at the light here. Look at that. There's light in the middle. My cameraman, which is a 10-year-old boy. Look at that. That's what the problem is. Yep, it's got a bend. Ha! So, good job, son. He's got a big smile. If you notice, my boys help me out quite a bit, both of them. And I keep them off the camera as much as I can. And anyway, so this is, I could probably straighten this out. But guys, I got this chain and this bar for this Echo on Amazon for $22. Oregon, everyone. And also something interesting, this chain is made in China. So, anyway, it cuts. It cuts great. So, everybody, if you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, let me know. Let me know. It's a help to everybody. I know that there's a ton of sharpening videos out there. There's a bunch of them where people are using guides and all this nonsense. Y'all, you don't need to do that. You do not need to do that. This is about as much of a guide as I would recommend if your teeth do not have a guide on them. If you don't know what I mean, let me grab another chain and I'll show you. This right here is a 3/8 chain. And there is a line etched in the top plate. Let's see if we can get the camera to catch that. Alright, here we go. Okay, you might be, there it is, right there. If you look at my thumbnail, there's that right there is an angle guide. And I also believe that means you shouldn't cut with it much past that. Shouldn't cut with it past that point. But anyway, these don't have it. So that's why I believe that's set at 25 degrees. So if you were to go off of here, check this out, everybody. This has a 30 degree and a 25 degree, okay? So at 20, remember I was not using this. I was just going off of how I feel, my muscle memory. I am a little bit more than 25 on this chain. If you look right down at the top here, you can see that. All right, a little bit, I'm angled. Basically, I should have been a little bit more like that. But I am less than 30. 30, I might be closer to 30. It cuts, everyone. It cuts. The more you do it, the better you'll get at doing it. And that's the truth. It just takes time. It takes time. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one.